The operatives of Gambia's Drug Law Enforcement Agency arrested one Lamin Jaju alias Lamin Sajo and Babukar Fall. The duo were arrested for trafficking 52 big bundles of suspected cannabis sativa on the 15th of September 2022. The bundles of the suspected prohibited drug were concealed in white bags wrapped in a cement paper and put in an Ascola C-class Benz belonging to one of the suspects, Lamin Jaju. Speaking to the press on the matter, Jatibu Sambu, Personal Assistant to Drug Law Enforcement Commissioner for West Coast Region, explains how they apprehended Lamin Jaju and his alleged business partner, Fall.
They were arrested in connection to a drug trafficking case, which occurred on Thursday, around the hours of 1 to 2 p.m., when our operatives posted at Brikama received an information regarding the said Lamin Jaju, alias Lamin Sajo, who was transporting drugs in his vehicle, private vehicle. So they intercepted him around Botrop, where they signaled him to stop, and he failed to stop. So a pursuit was given from Botrop to around Fatou Bojankunda, where they have to knock his vehicle for him to stop, so that arrest can be effected on him.
Mr. Sambu says Lamin Jaju is a regular drug trafficker and explained his personal encounters with him.
No, he has been a regular drug trafficker, and because I was once a victim involved in his drug trafficking issues, sometime around October 2020, I received an information regarding the said Lamin Jaju transporting drugs in his private vehicle. I led a team to Olyundum Coastal Road Police Station, where I introduced myself to the traffic officers that I received an information regarding a vehicle transporting drugs. So the officers were able to help me slow down the traffic, and a few minutes later I spotted the car coming, which best suits my description. So when he saw the traffic officers slowing down the traffic, he had to divert the traffic and use the other side of the road to escape him not being noticed or being arrested. So we tried to stop him, and he have to drive recklessly on us. I have to jump and sit on top of the vehicle, which is a Mercedes-Benz, green in color, private. From Olyundum police checkpoint up to Kololi Tavern, I was on top of the vehicle, shouting for help, knocking the vehicle for him to stop. But he gave a deaf ear, and he even applied pepper spray on me. He was in possession of a pepper spray, which we call tear gas, which he emptied on me, trying all kinds of sharp breaks for me to fall down. But thank God I was able to maintain grip, but eventually around Tolly Tavern, I was tired and I lost grip and I fell down from the vehicle, and he escaped arrest. So he's not a first-time offender. He have been doing this on numerous occasions, and nothing turns out.
Meanwhile, Usman Sediba, the spokesperson of the agency, explains their previous encounter with the suspect, Lamin Jaju.
Lamin Sajo is not a stranger to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency, the Gambia. Neither is he a stranger to the criminal justice system. Presently has a case that is ongoing in court, which has to do with what Jatibu said, where he endangered road users and the public by failing to stop at a checkpoint. And this is his modus operandi. Whenever he goes for his stops, when he's coming, he doesn't stop at a checkpoint. You stop him, he will not stop, and he can drive at full speed. So that matter is ongoing in court. But prior to that, you know, he has had so many other encounters. And in this year, May, around the 22nd of May, he was arrested again around Kololi Tavern and taken to court. He pleaded guilty. The vehicle that he was arrested with, the BMW vehicle, earlier around February, one Malan BI, very young boy as well, I think around 19 or so, but if you see him, you might think he's 17 years, was arrested with the same vehicle, trafficking drugs. So when the case went to court, it was not forfeited, post 1 to section 94, because he claimed that he was not aware that the boy had used it for any criminal-related activity. So the vehicle was returned to him. The same vehicle he was caught with. And again, in October 2020, he was involved in another case. So the frustration is, most of the time when they go to court, they are fined 70,000, 120,000, and in 2 different payments. You can see right now he's going to court on bail, court bail on other matters, and is involved in this particular matter. This does not deter them. We saw the case of Fatou. There is one thing to arrest people, because at the end of the day, our finished product becomes the raw material at the court. And we believe that the case history of an individual, especially someone who has appeared in court and has pleaded guilty, he's not a first-time offender, and most of the time he's not arrested with, let's say, it's not these wraps we are talking about. You're not talking about bundles. You're talking about 50 bundles, 75 bundles, or sometimes other types of drugs. Going to court, pleading guilty, when the Act has said, Section 43 is very clear, for trafficking cases, is 1 million and the mandatory jail term of 10 years. But you use alternative sentencing guidelines, referring to either the CPC or other provisions, and then fining them 80, 70,000, is not going to help the situation. We are not talking about the abusers. We are talking about traffickers and notorious traffickers. So the person's case history, we think, is also very important, because otherwise, at the end of the day, the public will lose confidence in us, and they will lose confidence in the criminal justice system. So it's very important that this is factored. People like Lamin Sajo, if they keep on going into the criminal justice system and out, at the end of the day, they take it as a joke. That sometimes back, I think 2 months back, on Nako Mag, I had to write a story and give his case history, all the previous encounters that we've had with him, and not only him, and so many others. So therefore, we believe that we are all complaining about the situation, but the best way we can abate this is to ensure that we have stringent measures, especially on the traffickers, because globally, that is the stance. In the supply suppression component, you should criminalize it. When it comes to the drug demand reduction front, that's where you see it as a public health problem. That is for the users and abusers to offer them access to treatment, which we know we don't have a specialized treatment facility in this.
Mr. Sativa calls for digitalization of records of cases at the judiciary for the past case history of the suspects to be put into consideration.
At an official level, I believe this, yes, is a matter that they've had several meetings with the judiciary. And in most instances as well, when things like this happen, the best way you can do is to appeal the matter. When a court decides on a case that you feel that it should have gone otherwise, the best that is to be done is to appeal the matter, which the office continues to do. But what we are saying is, most of the time when people appear, this is where it's important when we digitalize our system. We are able to have a case history of someone appearing. You look at the person's case, previous case history, and then this can help to determine, this is just simple, that this person is a problem to the society, is causing harm to the society, and I think the best that is there is to get him away from the society. We know that, yes, to incarcerate people is not just to lock them up, it's to reform, rehabilitate, and reintegrate them back into society. But what we are saying is, it gives a wrong impression when notorious criminals, notorious traffickers are arrested, they are into the system, and yes, we know that, yes, they should be presumed innocent. But now we are talking about someone who has pleaded guilty, not on 1 occasion, not on 2 occasions, and not on 3 occasions. This is a different matter. When such a person appears, I think such previous case should be taken into consideration.
Lamin Jaju, alias Lamin Sajo, is currently on court bail for a related crime, according to the Drug Law Enforcement Agency. Prior to this development, Lamin Jaju was charged and arraigned on 3 counts at the Carnegie Magistrates Court, FOREA reported on the 31st of May 2022. He pleaded guilty to the charges and was convicted and fined $75,000 for each of the 2 counts and served 2 years concurrent imprisonment term with hard labor in default. Jaju then fulfilled the court orders and paid the fines. Pursuant to Section 43(1) of the Drug Control Act 2003 states that a person who is engaged in drug trafficking of more than 2 kilograms in the case of cannabis sativa commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine of not less than $1 million and in addition a mandatory imprisonment for a term not less than 10 years. Reporting for Kerr, Fatou.